So I've been in this kohanga for the last 14 years. In those 14 years, I've had the opportunity to train. Fortunately, I suppose for me, it's the early childhood. I trained with NZCA and got a diploma of teaching in early childhood. And then I went to Waikato and upgraded to a degree in in teaching. So I have a Bachelor of Teaching and a Diploma of Teaching at the moment. And then I heard NZEI Te Reo when I first came here, and I wondered, well, what was this all about? Never heard of it before. Heard it was a union. Looked at the at that time it was called a contract, and it was a collective for all the staff at Kūaka here. And I quite liked what was written. It was about protecting us, providing some good conditions, and also looking at a pay rate, which was well above what I expected when I was working back home. NZEI's role here has been quite good, for quite a good advocate in terms of allowing us to understand what our rights are as members. And also for me, the beauty of it is being able to be a collective together in an agreement, so that everybody is on the same, has the same entitlements in terms of pay, well, in terms of holidays, those sort of entitlements, sick leave. And they've provided us with some good professional development, I think, for me anyway. I think I've become a lot aware of being a professional teacher.
A lot of people say it's a Pākehā organisation and it's not that relevant to kohanga, and whānau led is better. I mean, there's a whole lot of issues around there.
Yeah. That is exactly right, and that's understandable too, because when people see it as a Pākehā organisation coming in, I think they become quite intimidated about the whole movement of kohanga, the whole kaupapa of kohanga being compromised. However, in light of that, I think Kūaka has a good reflection of being union members, as well as complementing that with the ECE programs, as well as kohanga movement and kaupapa as well. At the end of the day, because the kaupapa of Kohanga Reo is ensuring that we nurture te reo, and that's to our children, that we follow our traditions. So it's about the āhuatanga Māori and the reo Māori, and I think probably Kūaka reflects that quite well in our daily practices. In everything we do, we still follow our tikanga. We don't let anything compromise that, and NZEI Te Reo hasn't done that to us.
This kohanga is a teacher-led
kohanga,
and the other phrase used is whānau-led kohanga, but are the two incompatible?
I had to get my head around those whole terms of teacher-led, whānau-led, and from my understanding, this is my own view. Whānau-led is where the whānau who actually have their children in kohanga actually facilitate the daily program, the running of the kohanga, managing it, being accountable for all the decisions that they make. However, when we pursued teacher-led, there was the advantage of looking at teachers that were trained and qualified in early childhood education. And at the time that I was training, that was the, how would it be? That was the aspiration of parents then, to have some quality education and care for their children. And by doing that at that time, they felt that following a pathway in early childhood education training would be the one for them. So that was part of our strategic plan, to become trained and qualified and registered. And along with that, there were a few barriers to that, and a lot of it is to do with funding. Teacher-led is to do with funding. There's more access to funding for us. There's more entitlements in terms of staff training. There are entitlements there. So, and it was about lifting the acknowledgement of what teachers are doing in terms of funding. So we pursued that pathway.
And so whānau are actively involved in
very much so. Very much so. They still are the employers. We still are accountable to them as well as teachers. as teachers. So they know what's going on. They know how much has been coming in. They know even when there's negotiations with our agreements, there are whānau members that are part of that negotiation team. So they all have an input in there, and they're all part of that process as well.
Yes, so that... And they have an input into the teaching program and how
they're quite happy with how we do it, with the way the program is set up.
Yeah.
They're quite happy to leave that to the teachers to do.
Yeah.
We do have certain times of the year where we meet with them and we use the portfolios. That's our form of assessment. And we have little quiz with parents individually and talk about their child and include what we've done for the year in terms of program. That's also included in their portfolios as to what we've done for the year. Yeah. So they're always kept informed, but they're quite happy to leave that part of the program to us to develop and plan.